Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. What a time to be alive in the landscape of college football. We hear all the noise and all the chatter about this sport changing. Look no further as this to be the evidence that the landscape of college football is changing. The number one quarterback in the entire country, Jared Curtis, flipping his commitment from Georgia to Vanderbilt. Like this sort of thing does not happen 10 years ago in this sport. You're starting to see this kind of thing happen a little bit more routinely. Now, what's the storyline here for Georgia? Look, this one stings, right? Georgia put a lot of their eggs in this basket, and they thought they were going to sign Jared Curtis for the last 6 months. Georgia going to be fine. Like with the ability for them to recruit quarterbacks and the ability to use the transfer portal as well, this one stings. I think the Georgia fans recognize how good of a football player Jared Curtis is. Georgia Bulldogs going to just be fine for the next couple of years. The bigger story here is what Vanderbilt can be, because there is one thing where you can say we're going to buy into this program and we're going to back this program, but it's a whole nother thing to do it with action. That's what you're seeing take place at Vanderbilt. And Jared Curtis is one of the storylines, but I think the bigger storyline is Clark Lea. Clark Lea signing the extension at Vanderbilt after drawing interest from Florida, drawing interest from Auburn, drawing interest from Penn State. Now, 10 years ago, Clark Lea ain't coaching at Vanderbilt in 2026. In this modern era, with the backing that Vanderbilt is given him, I promise you, Clark Lea, if he's not getting the backing he believes is good enough, he would be leaving. But he's not, because you can tell not only is this universe, this school buying into the football program, damn near feels like the city of Nashville is buying into Vanderbilt football. And you can tell Jared Curtis, who no doubt did his due diligence about what's going to be around him for the next couple of years, he's buying in as well. These are the kind of ripple effects that you're seeing with Vanderbilt. And I would argue it started with Diego Pavia, kind of igniting the flame and bringing that swagger to this program, getting the backing of the city. Jared Curtis is the one that's going to be carrying the torch. If you're a Vanderbilt fan, I think the conversation was, what's the staying power of Vanderbilt? Like, does Vanderbilt have the ability to continue what they're doing over the next couple of years? To me, this is the evidence that you can. Now, I want to start with Jared Curtis, talk about what he brings to Vanderbilt, because you make no mistake about it. Vanderbilt made this push for Jared Curtis for him to be the starting quarterback in 2026 as a true freshman. I think he's capable of doing it. We'll talk about Jared Curtis. We'll talk about what is the ceiling of Vanderbilt football, because the landscape of this sport has changed. 10 years ago would be a different answer. I'm not sure if I know what the ceiling looks like for Vanderbilt football over the next couple of years. Hell, the sky might be the limit. We'll see how it plays out, but I got some takes too. Before we get into it, as always, how about the Vanderbilt fans, man? What I want to hear, and we have not talked a ton of Vanderbilt football over the last couple of years because there's not always been a ton to talk about. Would love to hear how the Vanderbilt fans are feeling. Would love to hear how the general college football fans view Vanderbilt. Do we think it's a flash in the pan, or do we think there's something there? I personally think there might be something there with Vanderbilt. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it now. Why Jared Curtis is special. I don't think I'm breaking any news to anybody, right? You don't get 5 stars next to your name. You don't get that number one quarterback in the country designation unless you aren't a really gifted football player. The thing that I love most about him is, number one, he's a box checker, right? When you have the list of traits that you value and look for at the quarterback position, Jared Curtis does not lack a single one. Monster arm, really big body, really good athlete, has the ability to make off-platform throws, make any throw on the football field, but also has the ability to be a gamer. And he kind of has that same swagger to how he plays the quarterback position that Diego Pavia has. Like, there's not a surprise. I know he's a local kid down there in Nashville. I'm not surprised that this was the guy that Clark Lea chose. He does have that same swagger that Diego Pavia has. And I think a program like Vanderbilt kind of need that swagger, kind of need that face of the program. And I think after Diego Pavia moves on, I think that's going to be the story for Jerry Curtis. Now, the other conversation I think is really important is, all right, well, what's the ceiling of Vanderbilt football? I got a couple of different takes I want to get off my chest. Number one, I think it's really damn important for Vanderbilt to surround this kid with as much resources as possible. I'm a Michigan fan. Michigan actually pulled something very similar off last year with Bryce Underwood. My issue with Michigan is I don't think they did enough at the wide receiver position to adequately support Bryce Underwood year one. I don't think there's any question right now that Jared Curtis is going to be the starting quarterback in 2026. If you're Clark Lea, make sure that he has a run game to lean on. And he's got an offensive line that can keep him clean. And he's got pass catchers on the outside that can go make plays. The reason I like this, why is Clark Lea making it work at Vanderbilt right now? I mean, his evaluations in the transfer portal and at the high school ranks, one of the best in the country. And so your mission now, if you're Clark Lea, is you get the signature of Jared Curtis. You're going to get him on campus starting in the winter. Make sure you go to the transfer portal and fill in the rest of the gaps. I got all the confidence in the world that Clark Lea's going to do that. Grab Jared Curtis, give the resources around him for him to be successful. And you talk about continuing the trend of where this program's going. 2026 can be a fun year for Vanderbilt football too. I mean, we haven't even gotten into the conversation of, look, Vanderbilt, if you replace that logo, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about a college football playoff team with what they've done. They just went on the road and kicked the tar out of Tennessee on Saturday. What's the ceiling of Vanderbilt? That's the other interesting conversation, because what I view it as is it's not just the school that is starting to back Vanderbilt football. It feels like it's the city of Nashville. What better city to have an up-and-coming college football program than a city like Nashville that continues to grow, that continues to get more popular? I look at a program like Vanderbilt and say that this is a program that the city of Nashville can rally behind. And there's not a lot of other of these programs that can say that are in a metropolitan city like Nashville, that's growing, that's getting more popular, that people want to be in, people want to visit, people want to go to. That's what excites me the most, is that it doesn't just seem like it's a program or a school that's getting behind a football program. It feels like it's a city that's getting behind the football program. I feel like you got the right city as well. It feels like you never thought of Vanderbilt as a monster in college football. In fact, they really haven't been, right? It feels like there could be a monster created, right? And I'm not necessarily saying they're going to beat Georgia every single year. I think that'd be an irresponsible take. There's levels that this program can reach, in my opinion, if run right. And I think they got the head coach right, and now they got the quarterback right for the next couple of years too. Hey, let it fly. Am I getting over my skis with where Vanderbilt's going? Would love to hear from you guys. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.